Well, good morning. Good morning. First, let me introduce myself to you. I am Aldrima Harper, productivity strategist and creator of Success Biz Academy, where I help entrepreneurs and life coaches, trainers, and service professionals to create solutions to eliminate clutter and overwhelm so that you can boost your productivity, free up your time, and make more money. Well, first, I want to welcome you to the call today, and I am so glad you're here. If you're listening to this live or if you're listening to the recording of this, I'm just super excited about you being here today. So, we're here today because I want to talk about my favorite subject, which is productivity. Yeah. And as always, I am very, very grateful to be here, and I am glad for those of you who are listening to the call. And perhaps you're here on the call because you love the topic of productivity, or because maybe you just want to know more about how you can be more productive and not just busy. So that is why we're here today. So, by the way, I would be absolutely honored if you would just pop on over and join the Facebook group. The Facebook group is called The Productivity Challenge, and this is where we're going to be kicking off this new 7-day productivity challenge. The challenge is going to start on November the 9th, and it will go through the 17th. Now that sounds like it may be longer than 7 days, but it's not, because we are excluding the weekend. And also just want to make sure that you know that this is the last challenge of the year. We have done a 7-day challenge before a few months ago, and so I wanted to do this one because I was so inspired by Michael Hyatt's podcast, where he was talking about trashing your to-do list, right? And of course, that caught my attention. So anyway, the last time we did, and you know what, it really sounds like I am all over the place, but I'm really, really not. But just thank you for being so patient with me. So listen, again, we are starting this new 7-day productivity challenge on Monday, November the 9th through the 17th. And again, as I said, it sounds like it's a little longer because that includes the weekend. However, we are excluding Saturday and Sunday, so that will give you a little bit of time to, kind of catch up. And we just don't do a lot of, I don't do, any challenges or anything on weekends. So anyway, but as I was about to say, this is the last challenge of the year. And reason being, I wanted to do this challenge not only because I was inspired by Michael Hyatt's Trash Your To-Do List podcast, but also I don't like doing challenges in January, because I feel like by the time the new year gets here, you should already be well on your way to developing new habits and making the changes that's necessary in order to change your life, right? So, okay, so let's just get into this podcast, Trash Your To-Do List. In case you haven't already gone and listened to the podcast or watched the podcast, because he does the video as well, but it's Michael Hyatt, and he is absolutely probably someone that you've already heard of, and but you can go over to michaelhyatt.com, and this podcast that he did on November the 2nd was called Trash Your To-Do List: The 7 Realities to Experience Less but Better. So that's why I was so inspired by this podcast, because he talks about the 7 realities, and so it fit well into my plan of having a 7-day productivity challenge. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go over the 7 challenges that he introduced on his podcast, and we're not going to get into those things because, of course, if you listen to the podcast, you will be able to do that. But I've also added the link into the group, and so if you just want to, go listen to it in a group, that is perfectly okay. So yeah. So listen, so here's what we're going to do. I want to jump things off. I wanted to jump things off with this call, as we'll be using this as a foundation for our 7-day challenge. Okay? So, and again, the challenge starts on November the 9th, and we're calling it Accomplish More While Doing Less Challenge. This is our new 7-day productivity challenge. Okay? The 7 realities we must come to terms with to experience less but better. What a concept, right? Okay, so here are the 7 things that he went over in this podcast. Number 1, the power of choice. If we're willing to accept the power of choice, we can really make different decisions, right? That can lead to different outcomes. Okay? But that all begins by accepting the fact that you have the power to choose. I love this quote that I saw, and I don't know who this is by, but anyway, the quote says, "Your life is a result of the choices that you make. If you don't like your life, it's time to make better choices." I love that quote. I think it really captures what we're trying to say here in terms of you having the ability and the power to make decisions about your life. So that will be day number 1, right? Day number 2, we're going to focus on the momentum of focus. The momentum of focus. What he says about that is that you can micro slice, right? You can focus on certain things for a specific amount of time. However, you cannot do more than one thing that requires concentration at a time. It's just intellectually impossible. And this is huge for entrepreneurs because we're always we have a lot on our plates, and we have a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish in our business and in our personal lives and, our family, careers, and all those type of things. And so you have to come to the understanding that you cannot concentrate. Anything that requires a lot of concentration, you can only focus on one thing at a time. And we go through this. I have a periscope on the art of focus, and I give you some strategies on that, and we'll go over those strategies while we're going through this challenge, so that we can really develop ourselves in terms of the art of focus. So number 2 is the momentum of focus. That is what he calls it. And so we're going to definitely dive a little deeper into the momentum of focus. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, the importance of trade-offs. Here's the deal. Everything that you do, there's a trade-off. Okay, you can only be in one place at a time. So thinking that you can keep adding something and adding something and adding something to your life without, letting anything go is just going to drive you crazy, because now you're living a life with no margins, no boundaries. So you have to come to terms with the fact that there is a trade-off for everything that you do. Okay, if you accept the challenge of doing this one thing, it may be something that someone asks you to do, and you say, okay, yes, I'm going to do that. Well, there is a trade-off for that decision. And so that's what he talks about in terms of the importance of trade-offs. Okay, so number 4, the value of extreme criteria, right? How do you evaluate whether it's something you want to do or something you don't want to do? Okay, how do you create a criteria for making those decisions? Okay, is it something that is it something that's going to be profitable? Is it something that's not going to be profitable? Is it something that's going to make an impact, help people? Whatever your criteria is, you have to use that criteria, whatever that is, to make your decisions, okay? And so that's what we're going to dive into on day number 4. Day number 5, the role of a journalist. I love this one because I tend to fall into this trap, okay? The role of a journalist says, like a journalist, you're going to make an objective role right? You're going to take an objective approach, right? And not be so emotionally involved in all the things that's outside of the scope of what you do best. Okay. So, in terms of the decisions that you make and the things that's on your quote unquote to-do list, and this is again falling in line with trashing your to-do list, you will begin to take an objective role so that you are not emotionally involved in the things that outside of the scope of what you do best. Okay, so we're going to zero in on that. Okay, all right. Number 6, the power of clarity. This is so important. It is so important that you be crystal clear on what you want in life. I love, love, love this quote by the late Zig Ziglar. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. So you want to really learn to develop this habit of having a being crystal clear on what you want in life. And number 7, the liberating possibility of no. That is number 7. And this will free you up, I promise you, right? Because we tend to be, I tend to be a person who loves to, I'm a people pleaser, okay? I want to do things, that's helpful when someone asks me to do something. And so the problem is, when we say yes to things that's not that important, if we begin to say yes to things that's not so important, the things that are less than the best things that we need to be doing, we're saying no to things that's most important, right? So in other words, there are times when you're asked to do things that's good things, right? But they're not important things, or even more so, they're not things that God has called you to do. And so you really want to be able to, through this 7-day challenge, begin to develop a keen sense of where you're going, a keen sense of purpose, a keen sense of things that you need to be saying no to throughout this whole 7-day challenge. And what I would like to see in terms of results, is that you will come out of this challenge being more focused, having more clarity, and you won't even need a to-do list, right? So that's why this whole thing, he entitled this thing, trash your to-do list, because if you begin to focus on these 7 areas, you will come away with not actually needing a to-do list, which is opposite of what I teach. That's why this was so intriguing to me, because when it says, trash your to-do list, it really, really caught my attention. So that's what this 7-day challenge is about. I am really excited about it. Again, it starts on November 9th, which is this coming Monday. And I would love for you to join the Productivity Challenge Facebook group. The group, again, is called The Productivity Challenge. I would love for you to join the group so that we can go through this together. There's going to be exercises that we're going to go through. And so this is going to be very, very strategic, but it's going to require that you participate on a daily in these challenges, because here's the thing, this is not something that's like a magic wand that's going to automatically eliminate some of the things that you're overwhelmed with. And I teach this all the time in my trainings. It requires discipline. It requires you being able to develop in certain areas of your life so that you are not overwhelmed. Okay. And so, yes, there are tools and resources that you can use, and I'll be sharing some of those things as well. However, it really is going to require a little bit of discipline so that you can develop those habits and make the changes necessary so that next year that you'll be able to be well into your new life, focused, clear, and strategic in terms of what you are going to be doing. So I am so glad that you're here. Excuse me. Welcome to the new 7-day productivity challenge, and I am looking forward to seeing the results that you're going to achieve by being a part of it.